Trey Gowdy. He's the host of Sunday Night in America, also a former federal prosecutor. He joins us now. This is President Trump on the specific New York civil fraud case. He was in Michigan. Watch here.
It's a sham case. Judge Engoron just fined me $355 million for doing everything right. 355. And these repulsive abuses of power are not just an attack on me. They're really an attack on you and all Americans. It's a disgusting thing.
And all that for a victimless crime, Trey.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you this. I mean, drug cases are victimless crimes, too, and we prosecute them. My biggest problem with what's happening in New York is he was targeted. I mean, when Letitia James and Alvin Bragg ran for office, they ran on a platform of going after him. I mean, Dana, you may remember, as I do, 8 years ago, Ted Cruz attacked New York values on a presidential primary debate stage, and Donald Trump defended New York. He defended New York values. I wonder what his answer would be right now when you have an attorney general and a DA who run for office, not on prosecuting crime, but on prosecuting an individual. So if that's where we're headed as a country, that is dangerous territory. Was it a technical violation of the law? Maybe it was. But if you look hard enough at anyone, you're going to find something, which is why you don't prosecute people, you prosecute crimes.
Well, and to that point, there's now a lot of concern in the business community that this could happen to anybody, and apparently enough concern that Kathy Hochul reportedly, according to an article in The Hill, told business leaders, you know, you got nothing to worry about, and that headline alone would indicate that this is a political prosecution. You know, the subtext is that we believe most people do the right thing and they do their business well, but, you know, just saying that, you've got nothing to worry about. What do you take from that?
Well, to quote Barack Obama, there are 56 other states. I think they're just 49. But most of those other 49 would welcome businesses out of New York. I know my home state of South Carolina certainly would. So, yeah, if you're going to use your DA and your attorney general to target people based on political orthodoxy, then maybe you ought to find another state with, I don't know, maybe lower taxes and a better crime rate. And there are 49 of them.
I also want to ask you about the state to your south. I know you're in South Carolina, so in Georgia. All eyes were there last week. Fani Willis and all of that hearing. I was just doing the geography as well, hoping that I was right. This is from The Atlantic saying that step aside, Fani Willis. Recusal is the right course for the Fulton County District Attorney, even if the judge rules in her favor. It seems kind of obvious that that would be the conclusion to fair-minded people. What do you think she's going to do, though?
Probably fight. I don't know. Look, potential conflict is usually enough to get DAs either recused or to recuse themselves. Just a potential conflict. Because it is, I mean, what is the use in having a verdict if people don't have confidence in it? So, look, she and Nathan Wade, I'm really interested in the conversations they have with the White House, but even lay that aside. I mean, they are flawed characters prosecuting this case. So even if they were successful, there would be an asterisk by it. Go find two prosecutors who aren't dating one another in Georgia. It should not be that tough. Go find two. Here's the downside of what President Trump is trying to do. I would love it for these two folks to prosecute me, because from what I saw, neither one of them are very good. The danger is they get kicked off the case and you go find two that are really, really good at what they do. So sometimes you got to be careful what you want.
There's also been this, you know, discussion that it would be too vast of a case to pass on to someone else. I mean, you're an expert. Is it?
That's a good point.
No, I mean, you know, the only people who think cases are complicated are the ones who are actually prosecuting it. I mean, what case isn't complicated? You got to convince 12 people in an environment where 12 people don't agree on anything. So, look, it would take a good lawyer maybe 2 weeks to get up to speed on something like this. So nothing is too complicated to pass off to another set of prosecutors who know what they're doing.
With a brain like yours, it'd probably take an hour, Trey Gowdy. Great to have you here. Thanks for starting our Monday with us.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.